Kind of a different schedule this week because the Colts and the Fever both playing this afternoon during the time period we usually are doing this show. So we decided we would get a jump on all your Sunday activities, the NFL, the WNBA playoffs, which take place all day long today. And we jump on and do a special Sunday early edition of the Sports Rush. And we're right in the heart of it, man. I tell you what, there are so many sports to talk about, and can't wait to get to it. So let's go ahead and bring in Adam Lundy, who he's the guy on the right side of your screen. Adam, great weekend so far, huh? A lot of sports. We had Indiana kicking off college football on Friday, Purdue and Notre Dame, and we're, of course, going to break down those games. And then NFL takes over today with the Fever and their playoff opponent, Atlanta, set to hook up on national television. So it's a big weekend for sports.
Yeah, you said it, and it started off also with just another good Friday night of football here in the 260, especially if you're a big fan of field goals, because you've seen a lot of those lately, my friend.
Well, if I want to talk about something other than field goals, I could talk about what Indiana was doing on Friday night.
My goodness, just laying down the hammer against the Sycamores.
But we'll start with high school football because that kind of kicked off the weekend.
Before I go any further, I guess I shouldn't be saying they laid the hammer down in reference to the Hoosiers, but
yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on.
Well, the you mentioned the field goals, and it is amazing. I mean, think how many high school games end without at least one touchdown between the two teams. I mean, that's almost impossible. We've had it 2 weeks in a row.
You know how to pick them, Brett.
We've had, I mean, they've been good games.
Yeah, no question.
But if you like offense, you found the wrong place.
It's the hard-nosed defensive SAC, I guess.
I'm going to have to make my pick for East Noble Leo this week based on who has the better kicker.
Hey, I mean, it's like NFL games these days. A lot of it just comes down to who can make the farthest field goal.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's going to be, and that's what it was on Friday night. Our game of the week, presented by Midwest Box Breaks and our good buddy Ben over there at Midwest Box Breaks. If you haven't checked them out, I know, man, they had a busy day yesterday. They had a show they were doing. They were doing online last night. I mean, guy doesn't sleep, really doesn't.
No, he's always burning the oil on both ends, but yeah, he does it for a lot of good stuff. So always breaking the cards.
Supports our high school football game of the week. And Friday night we had the Carroll Chargers hosting the Bishop Dwenger Saints. Kind of felt like this would tell us where these two teams were at, because they had played enough before Friday night that we kind of had an idea these two teams were in the upper part of the Summit Athletic Conference. Which one was better? It was going to be very tough to gauge. They played a completely different lineup of opponents, so there wasn't anything really to base our prediction on. And I got it wrong, by the way. I have to admit, I took Carroll in a close game, and it ended up being Bishop Dwenger in a close game. But it all came down to field goals, and Carroll had opportunities here, and they just didn't deliver when they needed to deliver. But credit to Bishop Dwenger. They got it in position, I guess. I mean, most teams would have been punting from there or going for it on fourth down because you're in that in-between area. And they sent out their kicker, Lucas Wynn, a senior kicker. It might be his third year kicking in the Bishop Dwenger program. And if a college hasn't already recruited him, and I put this question out Friday night, but somebody should be on this kid, because it's one thing to be able to boot it from 51.5 yards. Gave him 52, but it was 51 plus a few inches. I had to go back and study the video and get the freeze frame, Adam, because I was a little disappointed myself, because we made a big deal of it Friday night that he made this 51-yard field goal. What a great kick from 51 yards. It was a game winner from 51 yards out. And then I get a text just about the time the post-game show was wrapping up that officially it was recorded as 52 yards. So I had to go back and do a little checking because I thought, all right, I feel bad. And if it was an obvious 52 yarder, I feel bad that I was not giving him credit for the full 52 yards. But I think that maybe his statistician gave him the benefit of the doubt and kind of, it's one of those where we'll round up. Well, it's a little past 51. We'll just go ahead and give him 52. But I don't want to take anything away from the kick because it's unbelievable for a high school kid to be able to kick a football through the uprights from 50 plus yards. We've seen struggles in the NFL. The Colts have had issues kicking 50 some yard field goals. And that's one of the big question marks with the Colts right now is, can Spencer Schrader consistently drill it from 50 plus? Well, he drilled it. I mean, from my angle, and I watched the video, which was pretty much the same angle I had, didn't look like there was much doubt that that kick was going to split the uprights. Just a question of would it be long enough? And there wasn't even much doubt in that. The kick had plenty of leg. He probably would have made that kick from 55, 56. I don't know if it would have gone much farther than that. I don't think it would have been a 60-yarder, but I think he could have gotten 3 or 4 more yards out of it. It was just a beautiful kick. And it all came down to a really special hold. We know, yeah, I have to say this, right?
Yeah. It's you're contractually obligated.
I'm contractually obligated through my services provided to Purdue Fort Wayne to mention Tommy Kaufman, none other than the son of Purdue Fort Wayne men's basketball coach John Kaufman, was the holder on that kick. So
Good hold. Hey, we saw a couple situations where holding a kick came into big situations in multiple games this weekend in both high school and in college football. So
Notre Dame. You
Notre
want to go there,
Dame.
don't you? You want to
Not-
go there.
We can go there, but not to mention we saw Homestead had a chance to win their game in regulation, but
That's
they
true.
misplaced that hold and they sent that game to overtime. So yeah, a lot
Okay,
of
cool, good. We'll stay on high school. I don't mean
We
to
can.
cut you off. We'll stay on high school then, because I've got a lot of high school notes.
Yeah.
And I've got to give credit to Dean Pantazzi, the dean of sports, who's been around doing covering sports in Fort Wayne for 80 years. He is now retired, but he still obviously loves to follow the high school football. And after the game, he starts shooting me all the box scores and the stats. And it's very hard for me to read them and do the post-game show at the same time because, as you know, I am now solo out at Pizza Hut. So it's very difficult for me to do both things at once. But I'm trying. I'm trying to get better at it. But I did have a chance to scan the box scores, and I found a few highlights of some individual performances I want to call out on the show. Bishop Dwenger, not only did Lucas Wynn have 3 field goals, including the game winner, which that 52-yarder, 52 with the asterisk, 52-yarder, which is a school record. Not only was that the school record, but it also was the game winner in the fourth quarter. Now, it wasn't like game winner on a final second kick, but it proved to be the difference in the football game with a 9-6 Bishop Dwenger win over Carroll. But Gus Tipman, man, hat tip to Gus Tipman. The guy is 5'5", and 155 pounds, and they may have weighed him soaking wet. He's just a small back, but that kid's tough. I mean, that's a football player, and we've seen so many of the Tipmans come through Bishop Dwenger. They're all football players. Most of them are bigger than 5'5", 150, but Gus is making the most of every little bit of weight and size that he's got because they handed him the football 37 times on Friday night. 37.
Yeah, and you mentioned a lot of it was in the second half too, after halftime. But a lot of times you just see with those smaller guys, especially when you put them at back, they can kind of just bounce off of guys and use their speed to make it through a lot of lines and break through. And so, yeah, good stuff.
He had to have a little break and get some treatment with some cramping, which would, you can certainly excuse him for. with the amount of work that he had to do. I'm surprised he didn't have to take a break and get CPR. Uh, 37 carries, 169 yards, and it was his ability really to run the football as Dwenger established the run. And it was interesting because Dwenger came out, and you start with a game plan and you probably have scripted plays over the first series. And their first drive was fantastic. They went right down the field, got stalled out in the red zone, and had to kick a field goal at the beginning of the game. But Tippmann was the primary weapon during that initial series. Well, then they had they went to a spread formation. They varied things a little bit. But at halftime, I think the coaches came together and they looked at what they had done effectively in the first half. And they said, what we did was we gave the ball to Gus. And so they came out the second half and they had a one-page playbook. And it was Gus left, Gus right, and Gus down the middle. And so Gus Tippmann, just a huge game for the Bishop Dwenger Saints. Also, Northrop's David Collison in a losing effort, ultimately. But you still have to shout out the individual performances, like David Collison going 25 for 43 for 344 yards, 3 TDs. They ultimately lost in overtime, but I think they had to come back in that game, didn't they?
I believe they did. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah. That's some great yardage, no question about that. And unfortunately for Northrop, it was one of those games for them where they were able to put up those impressive offensive stats, but the defense just couldn't hold up.
And Northrop had their opportunity to stay unbeaten, and Homestead kind of gave it to them. And you mentioned it earlier, that Homestead, with a tie game, final seconds, Homestead, after all the timeouts had been burned and you got down to, your final timeout, Homestead positioned the ball only, they were somewhere near the 1 yard line, I believe, based on what you were telling me.
Yeah, I mean, they were right there.
Fourth down, decided they would just kick the chip shot field goal, and it should be a guaranteed win at that point. But take nothing for granted, not only in high school football, but college football, because that chip shot that should have given Homestead the regulation win on the final play of regulation ended up, a botched snap? Is that what we heard?
Yeah, botched snap, mishandled by the holder there, and then ruled down, and then time expired, went to overtime.
But Homestead did prevail. They overcame their miscues, and they did prevail in overtime. So now you've got Homestead 2-0 in the conference, 3-1 overall, 3 straight wins. Logan Frieden, I believe is the name, the quarterback that took the spot of Michael White. He's done a great job engineering the Homestead offense. They keep getting better and better each week. But the pass defense couldn't contain David Collison, who threw for 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. Also, Bishop Luers, 2 runners that went over 100 yards, including TJ Epperson, who ran 21 times for 150 yards and a couple of touchdowns. Luers gets their first win of the year against Southside. And you've got, we might as well just have a weekly feature where we talk about Nate Foster from Leo.
Yeah, very, very impressive stuff every week.
Best running back in our area. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else, because I don't want to shortchange anybody. I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to say he is the best running back we have in our area. He'll go up against a tough defense with East Noble coming up this Friday night. In fact, this might actually show us 2 of the best running backs we have in all of Northeast Indiana. But Foster carried 15 times for 210 yards. Now, it's pretty nice when you can give it to him on first down, and the next play is another first down. He averaged 16 yards per carry.
That's insane.
Sorry, 14 yards per carry.
Still insane. Doesn't matter.
First downs are first downs.
Yeah.
3 touchdowns for Foster in Leo's win. And East Noble, the freshman. Do you happen to remember, Adam, me talking about Austin Phillips? I don't know if I did that on a show with you or if I just did it on one of my videos, but I said the name that every high school fan does not know now, but will know during the season, at some point during the season, is freshman Austin Phillips from East Noble. And I gave you that in July. Guess what?
Good call.
Freshman's proven me right, Adam.
Nice.
I'll follow the kids. I'll follow the kids that prove me right. Austin
Make me
Phillips,
look good.
yeah, 22 carries, 147 yards, and East Noble needed every bit of it. How about the drama at the end of that game?
Man, another one, but hey, it ended up in a win for East Noble. So
Final play of the game, according to the highlights that I saw, it was tied, and the final play of the game, DeKalb was either going to get a stop and force overtime, or East Noble was going to score and win the game. East Noble scored, and East Noble wins it 21-14 over DeKalb. Now, a couple of things here. Of course, DeKalb's coach was formerly on the East Noble staff, so he's got a pretty inside knowledge of what East Noble likes to do offensively and defensively. But also, East Noble might have been thinking ahead. You know, kids 15, 16, 17 years old, you can tell them how tough this opponent is and don't get caught looking ahead, but it's still going to happen. I mean, next week, East Noble's at home with Leo coming to town, two teams that have played twice every year for like the last 7 years. They always meet in the regular season. They always meet in the sectional. And so East Noble won both meetings a year ago, including that 21-0 shutout in the sectional game that we saw. And so here it comes, coming up next Friday, Leo at East Noble, and it's likely the game that's going to decide who wins the NE8. But big night for Austin Phillips, big night for Nate Foster, and those two running backs go head-to-head coming up this Friday. All right, let's talk ACAC. Bluffton had quarterback Axton Best, who I'm trying to remember if this is the same quarterback that's been around there for a while. 13 of 15. Great accuracy.
Yeah.
I mean,
sounds
that's
like they didn't need him to do much. Yeah.
Almost Fernando Mendoza numbers.
Or the other Mendoza numbers.
Now you've got the Mendoza line in football.
I like it.
And it's a good line in football. Not so good in baseball.
Yeah, 200 versus, what are we going to say, like 70, 80% completion?
Well, he was 19 for 20 Friday night. That's 95%. That's a pretty good line.
That's a good line.
But Best was 13 of 15, 203 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 42-7 Bluffton win over Woodland. South Adams. Grant Mosier. And he always joins our show. I missed him Friday.
I know. We tried.
Quarterback Titus Lehman. 24 of 38, 352 yards in the air, 5 touchdowns, and another 60 yards rushing on the ground, as South Adams with a surprise. And I won't say it's a surprise win because I did pick them in my picks of the week, but I picked them in a very close game with Heritage, and I think everybody thought it was probably going to be a pretty close game. South Adams beat Heritage 42-14. Huge win for the Starfires. And get this stat. Adams Central, you talk about efficiency. Adams Central, Jay County. Jay County won the time of possession 34 minutes to 14 minutes. Jay County rushed, I think, in this game for almost 200 yards. Adams Central won the game 40-0.
Yeah, just
the
knowing the
don't
score.
Tell the story, Adam.
Yeah, knowing the score and then hearing you read off those stats is kind of hilarious. But that's Adams Central continues their dominance in the ACAC.
I was scrolling the team stats and I thought maybe they had them reversed.
Get them flip flop there, but
I'm like, 200 yards rushing and 34 minutes of possession time. That sounded like an Adams Central team, but it was actually Jay County had the ball 34 minutes to 14 minutes, and Adams Central scored 40. Jay County, nothing.
Wow.
Braden Nussbaum of Garrett, 17 carries, 143 yards, couple of touchdowns. They beat Lakeland 28-7. Pretty impressive for Garrett. We really thought Garrett was going to be in a complete rebuild after last year, and they're much better than I think most of us expected. Eastside, Job Richmond carried it 30 times. Not quite the 37 Gus Tippmann carried it, but 30 is still being a workhorse back. 30 times, 240 yards, and even you can do the math there, Adam. 8 yards a carry.
Good stuff. I like when it's easy like that.
Yeah. 2 touchdowns for Eastside. All right, let's talk college football. We're going to start with Notre Dame. What's freshest on our mind from last night? Because Notre Dame.
The 0-2 Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
At home, multiple opportunities to win this game. You had C.J. Carr with just an awful interception. Didn't come close on about a 5-yard throw, threw it way over his receiver's head, an easy pick for Texas A&M. Notre Dame just could not put this game away because their defense could not stop Texas A&M. I did not like the Notre Dame game plan. It apparently was to take away the run of Texas A&M's quarterback, Marcel Reed. It was not to go get him. I think the way they set up their game plan, it was to protect against the scramble. So you just kind of box him in, but it's not to go fly after the quarterback, because I think what Notre Dame thought is if you go flying after the quarterback, he's so elusive, you're going to open up a lane and he's going to break a 20-yard run. But by not really putting pressure on him, he was very comfortable in picking apart the Notre Dame secondary. And he did it all night long with no adjustments from the Irish. They continued to rush no more than 4. I didn't see much in blitzing. I didn't see much in disguised packages. They continued to do the same thing with the same result. And we all know that's the definition of insanity. And that's what you got from Notre Dame. You got a defense that wasn't willing to adjust or show different looks or make the quarterback think. And so he got very comfortable, just sat back there, waited for the receivers to get open. He hit some fairly deep crossing routes on the opposite side of the field, which tells you the amount of time he had in the pocket to let a receiver run a long route like that and eventually get into open space. I thought it was a terrible defensive game plan by Notre Dame. And Marcus Freeman has to take some of the heat for that because he's a defensive-minded coach. But you give up 41 points at home, and I know we can talk about the extra point and everything as much as we want, but Notre Dame's defense gave up 41 points at home, and they did it pretty much playing the same defense throughout the entire game. That's inexcusable. That's a terrible loss for Notre Dame. Notre Dame fans should be pissed off today.
Yeah, not only pissed off, but also just concerned because, I feel like one more mistake and, your playoff chances are zero zilch nada. You're already in a lot of trouble now with this 0-2 start to the season. I don't care who it's against. I don't care how many games you win in a row coming up after this. If you make one more mistake, one more slip up, you're pretty much out of the picture. So like you said, I mean, it was just, not a good look from the Notre Dame secondary, just allowing too many just good passes from Marcel Reed. I think Mario Craver, the receiver for A&M, had over 200 yards receiving. So like you said, there just needed to be an adjustment, and there wasn't one made. It almost reminded me of the Gus Bradley defense a little bit.
I was going to say, did Notre Dame hire Gus Bradley? Because their defense looked like Gus Bradley. Sit back, give some space, come up and attack the football. And, because also Marcel Reed, now his final number, 17-37, which I thought he was completing a higher percentage than that, but 360 yards through the air for a guy that's probably a bigger threat with his legs than with his arm. And I think that's why Notre Dame came in with a game plan. But you know what? Good coaching is about adjustments throughout the game. Notre Dame did not make them. That's bad coaching. And so they just allowed Texas A&M to continue to do what they were doing without any adjustments or any different looks. That's on Notre Dame. And just a bad loss. And you're exactly right. I don't know. I was trying to see if I could find where the percentages are for what Notre Dame's odds are to make the college football playoffs now,
Mm.
because I'm guessing 10% or less based on their remaining schedule and the 2 losses. I'm guessing it's under 10%, but if anybody has it, send us a message. You can always send us any kind of comments that you've got. Justin Hartsaw said, felt like Notre Dame secondary got torched at times, couldn't keep up with A&M's receivers. Here's the problem. Great corners are about 3 to 4 second guys. In other words, they're going to tie you up for about 3 to 4 seconds. You start letting a guy have more time than that to get open. And, the receiver knows where he's going. And if he can run a double move route or, cross the field where you got to chase him all the way across, he has to work through traffic. I mean, there's all kinds of things. When you get time, guys get open. It doesn't matter how good the secondary is. So for me, it's very hard to judge Notre Dame secondary. And yes, Justin, they did not look real good. There were some guys with space. There were guys that got over the top and got behind the Notre Dame defense. I mean, that one poor guy that came in when the Notre Dame corner got hurt. Oh man, they went after him right away, and he got torched pretty bad. But I just think the lack of a pass rush made the secondary look weaker than it probably is. If you're a good 4-second defense, 1,001, 1,002, 1,003, 1,004, you cover guys through 4 seconds. You're going to be a pretty good secondary. And I bet if you took the timing from snap to the receiver making the catch on a lot of those plays, you were probably talking 5.5, 6 seconds, maybe even greater than that. Inexcusable that Notre Dame didn't try something a little bit different.
Yeah, I mean, they needed to start applying some pressure after seeing he was a perfectly capable quarterback of throwing when they're trying to take his legs away, and they just never got that pressure turned up on him at all.
I really thought that final touchdown that Texas A&M scored to win the game, I really thought Notre Dame hasn't shown it all night. This is the time to come off the edges hard and go after the quarterback. Make him get rid of the ball faster than he wants to. Come in, go after him. And we got to talk about that final play because, yes, Notre Dame botched the extra point, but those officials were not good last night, and I don't mind saying it because I can't get mine. But that SEC crew, and I don't even know if it was a homerism. Now, I thought the last call clearly favored the SEC team, but I thought there were a couple of calls that were bad both ways. The targeting call against Notre Dame, I thought, was a sin. I mean, the guy led with his head, but it looked like he barely even made any contact. He ducked his head under the ball carrier, and I don't think it should have been targeting. I don't think he should have been kicked out, and I wonder if it would have been different coverage for Notre Dame on that final play if they didn't have him kicked out. But I thought the officials were very inconsistent and poor all night, but not calling the holding penalty. That was as blatant a hold as you can have in football when a guy shoots the gap, totally beats the offensive lineman. The referee has to be able to see that. Notre Dame cleanly shot the gap and had a clean path to the quarterback, and the offensive lineman turned and from behind, not with one arm, with both arms, wrapped the legs and tackled him. That was a perfect form tackle, and we might find that offensive lineman, based on how well he got the block that in there, he might be playing defense next week because the coach might be impressed with his tackling ability because that's what he did. He tackled Notre Dame's defensive lineman, and that's blatant. You can't let that go. I wish they could call for a replay because, it was so obvious. Anybody that looked at it on a replay would say, oh, that's not even subjective. I mean, that is holding. That is what holding is. When you wrap up a guy and take him to the ground. Horrible. And Notre Dame didn't get the benefit of that call, and as a result, Texas A&M scores the touchdown. I mean, who knows if they'd have scored anyway, but that call was awful.
Yeah, not much else I can say that you didn't really say about that call, but it's just they missed it. I don't know. Nothing else you can say.
You can't miss it, though.
I know you can't miss it, but they quote unquote missed it.
I mean, sometimes, in different areas of the field, you could have a guy that reaches out, pulls on a receiver's jersey while he's running a route where maybe an official did. But that's what the referee is positioned to look at. Two things that referee's positioned to see. One is holding, and one is roughing the quarterback or anything that happens around the quarterback. I mean, that was so obvious. I mean, it's, and sometimes in holding, maybe the offense or the defense player doesn't go down. This guy was tackled from behind, sent to the deck with the Texas A&M player wrapped around him, falling on the back of his legs. There was no doubt. It was even a long hold where it took a little bit of time to develop. So even if you didn't see it when it first started, you saw the finished product and you could tell by the positioning that he had tackled him. His arms are around his legs and he's falling on the backside of the defensive lineman. Just horrible. No excuse to miss that call. And like I said, I'm not going to say it cost Notre Dame the game. It did give Texas A&M a touchdown on that play. Texas A&M might have been able to score on the next play. I don't know. But clearly that was just a blown call, a bad blown call.
Yeah.
By an SEC official, we ought to throw in there too.
Definitely.
All right, so the Indiana Hoosiers. Did anybody say, let me think, that Indiana, after the 27-14 they won in week 1 against Old Dominion, did anybody say to relax, that Indiana is a really good football team and they dominated Old Dominion throughout all over the field? I think I remember hearing somebody say that, and it might have just been me.
Yeah, no reason for concern against the Sycamores. They bounced back in good form.
You know what Old Dominion did yesterday?
What'd they do?
They walloped Virginia Tech at Virginia Tech.
Oh man, the Hokies.
Yeah, they walloped the Hokies. Now the Hokies are 0-3, but they've played pretty tough competition. They thought Old Dominion was going to be their win game, right? You schedule a couple of tough ones, then you slide somebody in that you think you can beat up. That was the game that Virginia Tech thought they would get their sure win. Old Dominion's better than I think most Indiana fans realize going into week 1. Old Dominion is proving it, and they had the close game, but they had. I think they had a close game before they played IU. They whooped on Virginia Tech. I mean, Old Dominion's been a pretty darn good team.
Let's see. They also they had a good win over NC Central, 54-6. So
is that the only other one they had? Kennesaw State was the one that had the close game.
Gotcha.
Against Wake Forest.
Gotcha.
All right, so it's time for us to let you know that if you have not subscribed to our channel, you need to do that while you're connected with us here today.
Yeah.
We don't have a budget. We don't have a payroll. We are very much in the virgin stages of this effort. And the way we grow is by maybe somehow tricking YouTube into distributing our show and putting it in front of more eyeballs so we can grow the channel. And one way you can help us is if you followed us when we were on radio or you're following us now here on YouTube. We certainly appreciate you, and thank you so much if you've become a subscriber. But if you're already in, maybe you share the channel and encourage some of the people to follow you to actually subscribe to us. And make sure you go through and watch the videos on our page. That also makes a difference. If you just go through, watch some of the shorts. A lot of the shorts are like 30 seconds long. You can just go through and watch shorts. You can watch some of the previous videos. We try to get them posted as often as news breaks. and the shorts will give you certain highlights of topics that we have covered on our regular show. So, but we definitely appreciate you, and we hope you do become a subscriber. We'll have some special things for subscribers coming up once we can afford it.
Hey, I have improved my background set here. I mentioned I got this sporting.
Oh, well, look at that.
Look at that.
See, there's where our budget went.
Yep, that's where it went. And then I also added the bobblehead here. It's former Mad Ants coach Steve Gansey. So there's a rare pull
Oh,
for you.
yeah. Nice balls, Adam.
Thanks, my man.
Something I thought I'd never say to you.
Yep. They're all up there.
Feels a little weird. All right, so IU 73-0. We mentioned they had no problem with the Sycamores. And Fernando Mendoza is starting to get comfortable with the IU offense, the connection with his receivers, and to go 19 for 20. That's tough to do in practice when you're just running routes and not even facing a defense, because you have to be accurate. You have to be on time. You have to have a receiver that has sure hands and catches it. I mean, that's not an easy feat to go 19 for 20. And it's not just a bunch of little screen passes, little 5-yard dump offs. These were some passes down the field. How about Omar Cooper? Omar Cooper ended up in the game for Indiana catching 10 balls for 207 yards, 4 touchdowns. I believe that tied the IU school record for touchdown receptions. But Omar Cooper was the kind of the standout performer as far as the wide receivers. But they had 6 receivers that caught multiple catches. 6. And 379 total yards passing, 301 yards on the ground. They had over 300 both rushing and passing. And I mentioned this Friday night, Adam. Stat of the day, 680 total yards of offense for IU and 77 for Indiana State.
That's just absolutely crazy. And I mean, just also the fact that not only did you get to see Fernando Mendoza look comfortable and be accurate, you got to see Alberto Mendoza be accurate and look comfortable, and even Grant Wilson threw and made his only pass. So I mean, 3 quarterbacks or 3 people on the field throwing passes, and you end up 26 for 30 overall. I mean, that is just absolutely insane too.
Yeah.
Only four missed passes.
7 touchdown passes for the Mendoza brothers.
Crazy.
All right, so you can leave a comment too. That's another thing you can do.
Yes, I love comments.
That helps in the metrics. The more comments you get, the more YouTube will notice. So if you can leave comments or anything that you want to weigh in or ask us about, please do that. We have our comments open. You'll probably see them. I might see them. But leave us comments. Make sure you like the videos, make sure you subscribe, and of course, as we said before, make sure you share the video. Purdue yesterday fell to USC. Purdue's going to take steps, and I thought I can't say positive, no one wants to lose as you're taking the steps, but what a strange situation in West Lafayette where you're supposed to play, you take the field, you get pulled off the field, then you have to wait. You don't know if it's going to be 30 minutes, an hour, 3 hours. So you really don't know what to do about eating or getting any kind of snacks just a situation you don't normally go through. Not an embarrassing loss by any means for Purdue. They showed that they're a better football team than they were last year. And I think they're on pace to do about what I thought they'd do. And I said this year they're probably going to be a 4 or 5 win team. And that's probably where they're going to be. They're better, but they're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's like you said. I mean, we saw flashes of improvement, no question about that. I think had this been last season, we would have seen a much more lopsided score. But just a couple big mistakes there from Purdue that take some time. They'll get ironed out. You hope by Barry Odom and company on the staff. But yeah, just too many interceptions and a pick six and things like that. Those will always put a nail in your coffin for any game.
The Colts in action today after that impressive week 1 win, where just about everything you could look at for the Colts was a positive. Now, I don't know. I was just checking if we've got any final who's in, who's out for today. Doing this live, sometimes you don't see it before you get started, so you kind of got to take a chance to get a peek as far as who's going to be in, who's going to be out. This game, by the way, if you're thinking you're going to sit down at 1 o'clock and watch a Colts game because you've been trained that the Colts always play at 1 o'clock, this one will fool you because it is a 4:05 start at Lucas Oil Stadium. And somebody explained to me, why is the roof closed? Did you hear about that? I mean, it's 85 degrees, sunny, 0% chance of rain. Why would they close the roof? Is it anything to do with the 4 o'clock start and the angle of the sun? It could be. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, I wish I had an answer for you on that one, but
you have the retractable roof for days when it rains, snows, or is freezing. This is a beautiful summer day. Enjoy an outdoor game.
Yeah, I wish I knew. I don't know.
If you know, that'd be something good for somebody to comment on.
Yeah, leave us a comment.
Choice. Would you rather go to the game today with it being 85 or 86? I mean, it's a little warm, but would you rather go to the game today with the roof open or roof closed? I wonder, probably most everybody from our area that's going to the game's probably already en route.
Yeah, most likely. But hey, I'd still love to hear a comment what your thoughts are on the roof being closed in this nice weather.
Okay, here's our man. Charvarius Ward out.
Yes. That one's the big one with the concussion protocol.
I mean, he would have been the lockdown corner on Cortland Sutton. Yeah, so he is out.
Yep.
Actually,
another cornerback is out too, Jalen Jones.
Well, Jones is out. I mean, we know Jones is out for a while. He's on IR. And Carlisle is on IR. But the 3 players that were potentials for today, Goodson, he's questionable. Latu is questionable with a hamstring.
Yep.
And then Ward. And Ward is going through concussion protocol and did not clear. Out. That's a big blow for the Colts. He was really good in week 1. Really good.
Really good, and it leaves a question of if we're going to see some big passes being made and received for Denver.
Okay, so the Indianapolis Colts have to confuse Bo Nix, and all week long, all we've seen. Man, I love this, Adam. I mean, after all the last 3 years of the Gus Bradley, you don't know how much I love to go to my Twitter or my X and see all these national analysts breaking down Colts film, showing all the different looks they gave at the line of scrimmage, different things they did that confused Tua. I mean, Tua is a somewhat experienced quarterback. Bo Nix doesn't have that much experience. He should be a guy that Anarumo can throw some different things at and maybe confuse him. The other thing you've got to do is you've got to give some uncertainty into the mind of the quarterback. In other words, when they line up at the line of scrimmage, when they see something, they're not sure what they're seeing. Is this guy dropping? Is this guy coming? Is this going to be man? Is it going to be man at the line of scrimmage and zone over the top? I mean, give him something that he's not going to be sure about, so he might hold on to the ball just a touch longer, or he may throw into an area that ends up having double coverage. And I think they can do that with Bo Nix. I think they can force some mistakes. Out of Bo Nix.
Yeah, I mean, he had 2 interceptions, against the Titans in week 1. So, if there's anything there, I mean, we see that he's open to making mistakes.
What do we expect from Daniel Jones? And if anybody says, well, I expect him to do what he did in week 1, you're crazy. Okay. We're not going to get week 1 from Daniel Jones. That was a pretty special week. We'd like to have a good week out of Daniel Jones, but honestly, 65% or better, avoid the turnovers. The fact is he's supposed to be a game manager and he made some plays last week, but his real role is to kind of engineer the offense, use play action and RPOs and get the right read, get pre-snap read so you put the team into the right play, whether that's a pass or a run. And that's what game management is about. And that's where Daniel Jones is so much better than Anthony Richardson. It's the game management part. I mean, we, as fans, a lot of people watch it and they're thinking, oh, that was an accurate throw. That was an accurate throw. Or they look at the stats and say, well, Anthony Richardson was 6 for 10 and Daniel Jones was 5 for 11. I guess Anthony Richardson's leading the battle for starting quarterback. There's so much more that goes into it in the NFL. We saw it on display in week 1 where he checked out of a couple of plays. He changed the blocking on a couple of plays because he saw things pre-snap that Anthony Richardson never would have noticed. And as a result, the Colts had some effective play calls. Some were switched, some, audibles. Some were new, were new blocking schemes. But I pointed this out after the game last week that one play, and I think there's a short on our channel that addresses it, that one play on 4th down shows exactly why Daniel Jones is the man who earned Shane Steichen's trust, and Anthony Richardson isn't to that spot yet, because on that 4th down, he saw something with the blitz, took the snap, no hesitation, turned and threw it right into the vacated area where the blitzer was coming from, and he had a wide open Josh Downs for a catch and a conversion. That's the kind of thing Daniel Jones does. That's what you look for with Daniel Jones. It's not about 60-yard completions down the field. It's more about how well is he managing the game? Is he putting the Colts into good plays? Is he, picking the right spots when Jonathan Taylor gets the ball? Is he picking the right spots to run, whether that's right, left, or whatever? Because, a lot of times the quarterback can come up to the line of scrimmage. You could have a run to the left tackle called, and you could see the way the defense aligns that we're going to have a better advantage if we run this to the right, and you can make the switch at the line of scrimmage. Those are the things Daniel Jones is being counted on to do, and I think that's what I expect from Daniel Jones. Almost a cerebral game as opposed to a physical performance game.
Yeah, and the thing I would mention about that is just watching the last game, week 1 against the Dolphins, is that all of the Colts drives, although like you said, there was a lot of different options and different looks that they could go to, the drives as a whole just looked a lot more methodical than I think what we saw from under Anthony Richardson, where things were just a little bit more hectic, and drives were stalled, the drives were easily stopped by a careless mistake, and like you said, those comes from things that Anthony Richardson didn't notice. So, just better overall management of drives, the clocks, and just field management. Yeah, like you said. So today, I think, like you said, as long as he can, avoid any mistakes, any interceptions, he should be a good game manager type of game.
I always felt and still feel this way, that Anthony Richardson breaks the huddle with an idea of the 1 or 2 players he's looking to be open. He's almost made his mind up. Mm-hmm. When we watched Daniel Jones last week and his drop, it looks like he can go 3 or 4 progressions deep. Anthony Richardson's not at that point. And Daniel Jones can look downfield, look at 1, 2, 3, and then dump it off. And he can make all those decisions and process them very quickly. Anthony Richardson, not there yet. And that, again, is one of the advantages, but it's not something that most fans were evaluating when they were trying to determine who should be the quarterback, especially those that thought Anthony Richardson should be the starting quarterback. So there's that. Also, defensively, don't have to change a whole lot. Obviously, Cortland Sutton's going to be one of the keys when you don't have Ward out there as the cover. Who's going to pick up that job at corner? But the secondary was pretty good, and the Colts did dial up some blitzes and some different looks at the line of scrimmage to apply some pressure to Tua, and they may have to do that again. So, big game today.
Yeah, big game today. We got a comment from Rick. He said, Brett's right. It is still a summer day. Even after all the autumn weather we've had, it's hard to justify the expense of the retractable roof based on how little it's been used throughout the years.
I mean, the idea is to me, if you wanted to play indoor football, just make it a regular roof.
Right.
The idea is we want to play outdoors, but in the event we can't, we will have a retractable roof that we can then close. But this is not one of those days where you would close it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I've just been looking at their social media too, and today's going to be a whiteout for the Colts, and they're asking all their fans to wear white. So,
and it would be brighter white if you got the sun shining on it, right?
Exactly, it would look so much better with all the natural light hitting everybody wearing white. But yeah, it's going to be closed and look nice and dark. Maybe they want the crowd ambiance, the noise.
Jim Irsay never would have done this.
No, he would have had it open.
That'll be our phrase now for like the next couple of years. Anything we don't agree with, we'll just say, wouldn't have been this way if Jim was still around. Fever.
Yeah.
Got the fever for the fever.
Let's go.
They take on Atlanta, and they haven't played for a long time. Now, I feel like they match up well, but then I found out Dantas is going to be out. She suffered apparently, a concussion at practice a couple of days ago.
That's not good.
And she's one of the bigs, and they were already kind of short on the front line, which big advantage to Atlanta there.
I mean, if we're being honest, this is kind of just a whole Frankenstein's monster of an Indiana Fever team at this point that's been put together with a lot of other people's discarded parts. So the fact that they're even here at all is impressive, and you just hope it'll be able to be something to build on next season when Caitlin Clark is hopefully healthy, and Sophie Cunningham and everybody else that's out for the friggin' season. My goodness,
Ari and Colson, and I'll just say this. Indiana does not win today. I hope I'm wrong.
You want to be wrong.
When I look at the series, I think it's going to be Atlanta winning today because of you add another injury to an already highly injured team. I think Atlanta wins today. I think Indiana has a chance to win when they come back home on Tuesday. And then it's game 3, winner take all, and we'll see. We'll see who's available and try to analyze the first 2 games to make a pick for the actual series. But that game, 3:00, then the Colts kick off at 4:05. There's going to be overlap. It's going to be a lot of action for the old clicker today.
It's a good thing that the game 1 isn't in Indianapolis at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Traffic in Indianapolis would be insane.
Yeah, downtown would be crazy. All right, so the other thing, Chicago Bears take on the Detroit Lions. Ben Johnson goes home to Detroit. Detroit did not look good offensively against the Green Bay Packers. Do the Bears have a chance to beat the Motor City Lions?
A chance? I would give them a chance. I think that the Lions are going to be a little bit angry after how they did in week 1 against the Packers, and they'll probably want to win against one of their former assistant coaches, but it would take another pretty bad performance. It just depends. I think it's up to the Bears defense to hold Goff to the way that the Packers did, but we'll see.
That's a 6.5 point line. And I think with a divisional rivalry, with the fact that you've got the added storyline with Ben Johnson, I'm not so sure I wouldn't say this game could come down to a field goal, or I think it's a 1-score game. I don't think it's a blowout. And I could be completely wrong. And since I'm saying this at the very end of the video, if you watch the replay, it may not even be part of the show. The show may have wrapped up about 10 seconds ago. But
we'll just cut it.
Yeah, always put your that's that's rule number 1, Adam. I learned this a long time ago. Always put your
Yeah.
predictions at the very end. Don't bury them in the middle because they're a lot harder to edit out. You put them at the very end where you can just cut the show early.
Exactly.
And it's like all of a sudden you'll hear Adam and I talking about the fever, and then it'll be, "Thank you for watching this edition."
There was no jump cut here, so
All right. We'll see what happens. Bears, Lions. At least that fills the void until the Colts start. I know
yeah,
we've got a lot of Bears fans. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about them because that's a Chicago team, and there's plenty of other people that talk about the Bears much more in depth than we can. But I know that there are Bears fans here in our city. Coming up this week, it's kind of weird, Adam. You're getting used to coming after you've taken your vacation, coming back, and then not having things to do on the weeknights.
yeah, it's a little weird. I kind of missed my tin caps action.
I felt the same way this past week. I had to keep myself busy. Well, a couple of reminders if
Yeah.
we can. High school football picks of the week.
Check them out.
Yeah, be sure to check it out. I wonder if I can. Okay, now this is going to get kind of crazy, Adam. I don't know if this will work.
All right.
But I'm going to try something clever. And
Okay.
again, guess where I'm doing it? I'm doing it at the end of the show. So if it completely messes up, I can just
It's gone.
I got to find it.
It's all good.
Yeah. This is this is fantastic here. Oh, here it is.
Awesome.
All right. Let's see if this works.
Oh,
Let's see. Oh, that's not the way it was supposed to be added.
oh
It
well.
was not supposed to have its own. Okay, that'll be something I'll work on. My
We'll figure it out.
production, my producer role.
Yeah, you're the producer now.
But you can't see it. It's the high school football picks of the week every Thursday, 4:30. Want to invite everybody to be here for that.
Yep, it was a mainstay segment of our on-air show. Oh, there you go.
There it
you
is.
go.
There, it's still not the way it's supposed to be.
It's not, but you can see it at least.
Yeah, I wanted to at least throw that out there. Thursdays, 4:30. We have it right here on the channel. Also, what else? Oh, Friday night high school football.
Yep.
Hope you join us for high school football. And that is Leo East Noble is
Good
our
one.
scheduled Friday night game of the week.
Big
All right,
game.
my man. We got a prediction for today. It's the end of the show, so we can both make one. Colts,
Let's see.
Broncos.
Colts 27, Broncos 20. Give me 20. Why not?
Okay, I'm going Colts 24, Broncos 16.
All right.
There we go. And that part of the show, we hope you enjoyed. If you're watching us live, because you may never see it on the recorded video, because, the one thing I do know how to do, I know how to edit by chopping off the end of the video. And so when we're wrong, see, that's what's great. We'll always be right.
We're always right, Brett.
We'll always be right. We'll just edit, put in the right version. All right. Everybody have a great week. Thanks so much. Once again, before you leave us, subscribe. Also, make sure you like this video. That's very important. We want you to share it with your friends. And any comments you can add along the way. Check out some of our other videos available at Brett Rump, as Adam has bailed on us. All right. Have a terrific weekend, rest of the weekend, and we'll talk to you again soon.